Your dog is not giving you toys for fun the way you think. Last night, your dog walked slowly toward you carrying his favorite toy, not a random object, not an old sock, the one he protects most, the one he sleeps beside when the house feels quiet. You probably smiled without thinking. Maybe you tossed it across the room, watched his tail explode with excitement, and assumed it was just another game before bedtime. But your dog may have been trying to say something far deeper, because dogs rarely communicate with words humans naturally understand. They communicate through rituals, patterns, objects, movement, scent, and emotional association. And bringing you a toy is one of the most emotionally loaded behaviors they perform. What makes this strange is how consistently dogs repeat it. Different breeds, different homes, different personalities. Yet millions of dogs keep choosing the same emotional gesture over and over again, almost like instinctive emotional language. Animal behavior specialists have studied object-sharing behaviors in wolves, domesticated dogs, and social mammals for years. What they discovered changed how many experts interpret affection, trust, and emotional bonding in dogs entirely. Your dog's brain constantly maps emotional safety. Neuroscientists studying canine cognition found that dogs associate emotionally trusted humans with reward, regulation, and nervous system calmness, not just food or survival. That means when your dog approaches carrying his toy, your brain sees plastic, fabric, or rubber. But your dog's nervous system may see emotional connection, shared safety, social bonding, and something even closer to family behavior. Dogs evolved from cooperative pack animals where valuable objects carried social meaning. Sharing resources was risky. It exposed vulnerability. And vulnerability inside animal psychology almost always means trust. This is why many dogs never bring treasured toys to strangers. They might play nearby or stay protective instead. But with you, something changes. The emotional barrier lowers. The toy becomes an offering rather than possession. And once you understand what your dog may actually be saying, those small everyday moments begin feeling strangely emotional in ways you cannot easily forget afterward. Sometimes your dog brings you a toy while you are exhausted, stressed, or emotionally distant. You may think he simply wants entertainment, because dogs always seem energetic when humans feel drained. But many dogs are not responding to boredom in those moments. They are responding to emotional atmosphere. Dogs detect changes in human posture, facial tension, voice frequency, movement speed, and even chemical stress signals. Your dog may sense emotional heaviness before you consciously recognize it yourself. Bringing a toy can become his attempt to restore emotional synchronization between both of you through familiar, positive interaction. In your dog's mind, shared play is not meaningless activity. It is emotional repair, a biological attempt to reconnect your nervous systems and bring the relationship back into emotional balance. Sometimes your dog gently places the toy beside you without demanding anything afterward. No barking, no jumping, no frantic excitement. Just quiet placement followed by staring or calm observation from nearby. Humans often misunderstand this as random behavior or absent-minded habit. But behavior experts frequently associate silent object placement with social offering rather than immediate play solicitation. Your dog may not always want the toy thrown. Sometimes he wants acknowledgement, recognition, emotional acceptance. The object becomes a symbolic bridge between his world and yours. In canine social behavior, voluntary offering is significant because valued possessions trigger attachment patterns. Your dog is temporarily surrendering something emotionally important into your space willingly. That tiny moment says more than most people realize. It quietly says, "What matters to me can safely exist beside you." Some dogs become intensely excited after bringing their toys. They spin, bounce, bark, and practically vibrate with energy while staring directly into your eyes. Most owners assume this excitement comes purely from anticipation. Throw toy, chase toy, repeat endlessly. But excitement inside dogs is often socially amplified rather than object-centered alone. Research on canine dopamine responses suggests dogs experience heightened reward when positive experiences involve bonded humans directly. Your participation matters more than the toy itself. The toy is sometimes only the emotional excuse. What your dog truly craves is synchronized joy with the person his brain emotionally prioritizes above everyone else. You may notice your dog brings toys most frequently during emotionally important moments. When you return home, when you cry, when you isolate yourself, when storms frighten him, when routines suddenly change. That pattern is not accidental. Dogs are deeply ritualistic emotional observers. They associate objects and repeated actions with emotional outcomes stored through memory and scent-linked experiences. To your dog, the toy may represent stability, predictability, connection. a ritual proven repeatedly to create closeness and emotional reassurance between both of you. So when uncertainty appears, your dog instinctively reaches toward the emotional language that previously restored safety inside the relationship. Sometimes dogs bring toys into bed or place them near sleeping humans. People often laugh at this behavior because it seems adorable, strange, or slightly obsessive. But sleeping spaces are psychologically important territories for dogs. Animals instinctively protect vulnerable resting environments because vulnerability during sleep carries evolutionary risk. When your dog brings his favorite toy into your resting space, he may be combining two emotionally sacred things together inside his mind: his comfort object and his safest human. That behavior resembles emotional nesting, a subconscious attempt to merge security, attachment, scent familiarity, and social bonding into one protected emotional environment. There are also dogs who bring damaged toys repeatedly: torn fabric, missing eyes, half-destroyed rubber bones that should have been discarded months ago. Humans usually assume dogs cannot recognize quality differences, but emotionally attached dogs often maintain strong sentimental associations with objects carrying emotional memory and familiar scent patterns. That ruined toy may contain hundreds of emotional experiences linked directly to you. Games after heartbreak, comfort during loneliness, familiar evenings filled with safety and routine. So when your dog brings you the oldest toy instead of the newest one, he may actually be choosing emotional history over novelty. Some dogs press toys against your leg before walking away calmly. Others leave toys near doors before you leave the house each morning. At first, these behaviors seem almost random, but canine attachment researchers often compare object placement rituals to social anchoring behaviors observed in bonded mammals. Your dog understands separation more emotionally than logically. He may not know where you go, but he understands absence deeply through routine disruption and scent disappearance. Leaving a toy near you can become a strange emotional placeholder, almost like maintaining connection physically when emotional distance feels unavoidable to him. Then there are moments when your dog brings toys after being scolded or corrected. Most people think the dog is trying to distract the owner or avoid consequences cleverly. But appeasement behavior in dogs often includes gestures reducing social tension after conflict. Dogs naturally seek relationship restoration because pack stability historically affected survival. Your dog may not fully understand why you became upset. Yet emotionally, he understands disconnection happened, and disconnection feels deeply uncomfortable to socially bonded animals. The toy becomes reconciliation, a silent emotional reset attempt saying, "Are we okay again?" One of the most misunderstood moments happens when elderly dogs continue bringing toys despite weakened bodies, slower movement, or visible exhaustion. People sometimes assume aging dogs simply repeat old habits automatically, but aging often intensifies emotionally significant routines rather than weakening them psychologically. Older dogs frequently rely more heavily on emotionally meaningful rituals because those rituals provide familiarity, predictability, and emotional orientation as their world gradually changes, physically. So when an old dog slowly carries a toy toward you with tired eyes, that moment may contain years of accumulated attachment compressed into one fragile gesture. Puppies also reveal something fascinating about toy-sharing behavior. Very young dogs instinctively guard valuable objects initially because possession feels biologically important during developmental stages. But over time, bonded puppies begin voluntarily bringing treasured objects toward trusted humans repeatedly. That shift marks emotional trust development rather than simple obedience training. Your puppy is slowly learning something emotionally enormous. Closeness with you feels safer than guarding resources alone. And once that emotional lesson forms deeply enough, many dogs carry it throughout their entire lives. Some dogs even bring toys when humans appear sick or emotionally withdrawn for long periods. They approach more gently, more carefully, sometimes unusually quiet. Scientists studying canine emotional sensitivity believe dogs respond strongly to altered human emotional states through scent changes, behavior shifts, and social pattern disruption. Your dog may not understand depression, grief, anxiety, or emotional burnout the way humans define them, but he absolutely notices emotional absence inside the relationship dynamic. Bringing a toy may become his version of emotional outreach, not because he understands your suffering intellectually, but because he feels your emotional distance instinctively. There is another hidden layer many people never consider. Dogs often associate their favorite toys with their happiest emotional memories involving you specifically. That means when your dog carries that object toward you, he may actually be carrying emotional memory itself. a physical reminder of shared happiness stored through repetition and scent association. Humans keep photographs, letters, and sentimental objects because memories attach themselves emotionally to physical things. Dogs appear to create similar emotional associations through different neurological pathways. So the toy may not merely represent play, it may represent you during your happiest moments together. This explains why some dogs become visibly emotional when ignored after offering a toy. Their body language changes subtly. Energy lowers, eyes soften, movement slows. People think disappointment comes from cancelled playtime alone. But emotionally social animals experience ignored connection attempts as small relational ruptures. Your dog reached toward you emotionally using the clearest language he understands, and when that connection fails repeatedly, confusion sometimes replaces enthusiasm over time. That is why emotionally responsive dogs often seem unbelievably sensitive, because to them, relationships are not background details. Relationships are survival, identity, regulation, and emotional orientation combined. The beautiful part is that dogs continue trying anyway, again and again, day after day. They keep approaching humans with loyalty despite misunderstanding them constantly. A dog does not need perfect communication to love deeply. He only needs emotional recognition often enough to keep trusting the bond exists safely between both of you. That is why these tiny toy rituals become emotionally powerful once you finally see them differently. Suddenly, ordinary moments begin carrying invisible emotional weight. The squeaky toy beside your feet after a terrible day no longer feels random. The tennis ball dropped quietly beside your bed no longer feels meaningless. You begin realizing your dog has been emotionally speaking to you this entire time through rituals you almost ignored completely. And maybe that changes something important inside you too. Because once people truly understand dogs emotionally, ownership starts disappearing from the relationship entirely. The word feels smaller somehow, less accurate, less human-centered. You stop seeing your dog as an obedient companion orbiting your life mechanically. You begin seeing a conscious emotional being constantly trying to connect with you sincerely, a being studying your moods, memorizing your routines, responding to your sadness, seeking your approval, protecting emotional closeness in ways humans frequently overlook. And perhaps that explains why losing a dog hurts so differently from many other forms of grief. Dogs spend years building invisible emotional rituals around our existence quietly. The toys by the couch, the waiting near doors, the objects carried gently through hallways toward us over thousands of ordinary evenings nobody records or notices enough. Then one day, the house becomes silent and those rituals disappear completely. Suddenly you would give anything to hear those soft footsteps approaching again with that same old toy held proudly between tired teeth. Because deep down, humans eventually realize the toy was never truly about the toy. It was about trust offered freely by a creature emotionally brave enough to love without complexity, pride, or conditions attached to the gesture. And maybe tonight, when your dog walks toward you carrying his favorite toy again, you will pause slightly longer before throwing it away casually across the room. Maybe you will look into his eyes first. Maybe you will finally understand what he has been trying to tell you all along. And if your dog brings you his toy tomorrow, pay attention carefully. Because love sometimes arrives carrying teeth marks, faded fabric, and a wagging tail waiting quietly beside your feet.